All right, Patrick, in segment 3, we talked about predatory loans, about the targeting of vulnerable people, getting them locked into loans for which they had no ability to pay off over the course of the mortgages. And then also the phoning up of documents so that these brokers could get their huge commissions and making the loans, and even putting in false information about the assets and the income of the person taking out the loan. And then in the next segment, we talked about the straw loans, the totally phony loans that were being taken out, and how people were still losing their homes and the equity they had in their homes. Now, I want to ask you, and I think this just needs to be made very clear, because I think a lot of people, and I'm included in those people, I used to think that it was your local mortgage company, because I've taken out mortgage loans before. I thought it was my local mortgage company that I would get a loan from. I'd sign the documents promising to pay them back. I'd get a coupon book. I'd send them checks every month to pay off my mortgage. And it was between me and the same mortgage bank that I took the loan out from. Is this how it worked after this massive deregulation?
No, not at all. It was really extraordinarily crazy, because if you actually loan somebody something that you're on the hook for, you need to do the proper underwriting, so you want that loan to perform. That's your investment. That's how you make your money as a lender. Unfortunately, in this particular situation, Rocky, no, just the opposite. We had a whole slew of mortgage banks all over the country, some huge names like AmeriQuest or Countrywide, Nationwide, many that people might remember from those days. And people thought literally they were taking out loans from those institutions. As it turns out, they were just an intermediary to get you packaged into the loan that they would then sell to the next level.
So they'd phony up the documents so they could get you to borrow money from them. Their brokers would make these huge commissions, most of them people who never had any experience or much experience at all in the banking industry. And then the CEOs would make more money because they'd show that it was very profitable because they were making all these loans. And then they weren't holding on to those loans. They were selling them to somebody else who would be counting on these people to pay the loans back after the broker and the mortgage company, in many, many instances, actually phonied up the information about the borrower's assets and income.
Therein lies the most important part of the equation, the CEOs you just mentioned. So why would the CEOs at the top of the largest financial institutions of the country, generally people that we consider extremely successful, those that maybe have come out of the Ivy League, some of the wealthiest, most powerful people in the United States and in the world for that matter, why would they be in a situation to where they would oversee something like a criminal enterprise? Well, therein lies what the whole point is of everything. It's called control fraud, or more accurately, accounting control fraud. Rocky, through all of this deregulation, everything that took place, Wall Street used to have a certain sort of methodology where the partners used to be aligned with the stuff that they had loaned to. But in this particular case, we have what's known as modern executive compensation. The CEOs were rewarded on volume, mass volume. Didn't matter what kind of volume, as long as they got bonuses based on short-term volume, based on lies.
And their compensation wasn't based on whether those loans would be paid off over the course of the mortgages.
Yep.
They were based on getting people locked into these loans and then getting rid of the loans, sending them out to somebody else.
Yep.
All right. And we're going to talk about the rating of those loans and everything else in a minute. But I just think it's so important for people to understand that the folks that were making the loans, these local mortgage companies, all they were doing was getting people on the hook, oftentimes phoning up the information so the loans could be made, and then getting rid of them. And these individuals, the CEOs and the brokers, pocketing these enormous amounts of money along the way.
Everybody got paid on the performance of the loan at the moment they booked it, not at the end of the deal. the moment they booked it, most notably the CEOs. And that's a